The alliance between France and Germany is often described as the engine of the European Union. It's been sputtering since last year, when Emmanuel Macron cancelled this meeting after a series of disagreements with Berlin over defence and energy policy in the wake of the war in Ukraine. Differences that affect policy making in the rest of the EU.
Every time when there is a major decision to be taken, the two countries may have different approaches, but in the end, it's only when they agree that the 27 can agree. So we are in that process at the moment on different issues. One is obviously the Ukraine war and how to support Ukraine. And we've seen in recent days that Chancellor Scholz has been under a lot of criticism for his reluctance to send tanks to Ukraine.
And from the German Chancellor on Sunday, still no commitment that he'll give Ukraine what it wants.
The US is doing a lot. Germany is also doing a lot. We have constantly expanded our supplies with very effective weapons that are already available today. And we've always closely coordinated all these decisions with all our important allies and friends. With France, for example, with the US, with other major countries in Europe, and of course, with all those who participate in this discussion.
Emmanuel Macron says France has not ruled out sending its tanks, but needs to consider three criteria.
Firstly, as we have been able to do since the beginning, that it does not escalate. Secondly, that it could bring real effective support to our Ukrainian friends. And for this, we must consider the capacity to maintain them in operational conditions and training.
Both leaders reaffirmed a commitment to support Ukraine as long as necessary. Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia have added to the calls from other countries to send tanks to Ukraine, piling the pressure on Berlin. The new German defence minister says he'll visit Kyiv soon. He can expect one subject to dominate the agenda. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera, Paris.
Julian Hertz is a European policy specialist and editor of the French Dispatch. He says Germany and France have put aside their political differences to help push for a more sovereign Europe.
Back in October last year, there was a very real situation that could have spilled into a very dangerous situation. But now things have stabilized, and we need to remember that there are a lot of similarities and points in common between Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz, such as the wish to push for a more sovereign Europe and increasing the investments in defense and European industry. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of cohesion on the topics of increasing European sovereignty, dealing with the current economic plan of Joe Biden and the States and finding a European solution to this that combines all the efforts of European states, investing further in defense and industries, so making sure that European defense is up to scratch and also that the European industry can compete on the global scale. However, one of the big things that has caused some issues is how to go about ensuring a European sovereignty and particularly strategic autonomy. For example, Macron favors an EU sovereignty fund that finances investments across the EU, but Olaf Scholz and the SDP are against this because of the fact that effectively this would lead to more European debt, which has always been a German red line, no matter who the Chancellor has been. And this is something where they're going to have to work together. But if we are entirely honest, the role of the Franco-German engine is to lead the way, take on the tough discussions, find solutions, and also bring everybody to the table so that the right solution can be found for everybody in the EU.